Okay, can we test it? Do people hear me? All right, so hello everybody. I gave a very nice answer to the last question. I will try to repeat it. Okay, so did you guys hear the question? All right, so my answer was that you should not expect them to be of similar quality because with the 777 version 2, we are basically stepping up the technology. So it's not only improvements here and there, it's a remake of everything from the start. So it's going to be more stuff in depth in terms of systems, and it's going to be more stuff in terms of everything around, and there are going to be new things which we have not ever done before, and I dare say most people haven't done either. So, here and there you can see similarities. So I don't want to be vain and say, oh, we're the first ones to do everything, but we are working on stuff like MCC simulation, which is hopefully going to be full MCC, things like that. So no, the 767 is basically a 5-year-old product. Never mind the updates we could improve, but the basic technology and the things we knew, those are the things that we knew 5 years ago. Oh, well, I would love to say yes, but I don't think so. Especially with especially with X-Plane 12 imminently coming. I feel that it's very close, so that will expect us to work on it, and spend some time away from the 777. No matter how well we prepare, when it comes out, it's going to be a better run, so we're going to have to work on that. So I don't think that it's realistic to expect it this year. However, I don't think that I don't want to give dates or estimates, but it's also not unrealistic to expect it in 2024, right? So it should be somewhere next year. Yeah. So at the moment, the first airplane that we are going to come out with is going to be the 200ER with G engines. There is obviously a plan to add different engine types and different fuselages and different variations, but we are going to be true to our model, which means you don't overpay for stuff. So whichever way you buy, and people who have the 767 know there are like 12 or something different ways to buy the plane. We're trying not to overcharge anyone on anything. So there's going to be a base package, the first one, and then there's going to be a package that you can add to it, and later on a different base package. So we're going to stay true to this model where you have to learn how it works and watch a little video and look at the graph, but then you can buy add-ons rather than buying again the whole plane. Yes, yes, yes. So a base and then extension, extension, extension. All right, so somebody is writing, so the 777 version 2 is not coming before 2024. So I said the exact opposite, yes? So it's unrealistic to expect it to come out in 2024. Oh, well, progress began when I started doing my real life training, which led to the 777. That's kind of semi joke. So I think, I mean, parts of the team have been working on the 777 version 2 almost 2 years now by now. But I would say that we have been working um, mainly on it as a team for probably over a year. So at the moment, almost everybody is involved and works on the 777, except the guys who are A320 specialists. Um, Almost everybody is working. So I'd say as a whole team, maybe a year, partially, almost 2 years, I guess. Okay, so all right. So do you hear the questions, guys, or not? We can't hear any questions. Please read the chat. Yes. Um, hmm. Maybe try turning it off and on again, as they say in TV. Um, okay, so Ben has done something. Can you hear him now? No. Oh, we can't hear the questions now. Okay, guys, we got it. So apparently no one can hear you because everybody has reported that they can't hear you. Will the PCUs be simulated in the 777? Yes, they will be simulated. They are already simulated.
Okay. What a wait. What about now? Can you guys hear me now?
So Ben has switched something again. Do you now hear him? Ben, try singing.
I can't sing to save my life. Why? This is really strange. Now
No,
we can
they can
hear.
hear.
You can hear me now?
Yes, they can hear you now.
That works. What the? This is so weird. I again, like when I started the stream, they heard me because I can confirm because they talked with me. But
All
now,
right.
so that's why it's so strange. I'm
All
really
right. Awesome. So they can hear both of us and his mouse.
and my
I assume
mouse.
your mouse, like computer mouse, not the actual an actual mouse.
Hopefully, just a computer mouse. I've got to check my room then.
No. Okay, let's go.
All right, next questions. Do we just do this the SimBrief uplink, right? We just did answer that question.
No.
Okay, so any plans to do a SimBrief uplink in your products? So any SimBrief integration?
Yes, there are plans to do that. I can't promise at the moment that it will be done by the time the plane is out. Hopefully, yes.
Okay.
But yes, definitely yes.
Will there be any visual updates planned for the 7.6, 7.5 family for the next gen X-Plane 12 to get some more eye candy?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, now we are focused on the 777. We do have 4 guys working for us full time on 3D, so we have the manpower certainly. So as soon as we have done the stuff that we planned for the 778 and 777, I see no reason why not to try. So probably we will see. Let's let X-Plane 12 come out and wash out all the bugs and get everything working. and then we'll see how
Okay.
that looks.
All right. Hopefully my mouse is not hurt anymore. I fixed it. Hopefully. All right. Next question is: how easy would it be for you to develop a 777X series aircraft, given the similarities between the 78 and 777 avionics?
Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not proficient enough in the similarities, so it certainly looks like they're using most of the same stuff. But the question is, so it is the same avionics. But the question is, are the systems similar? I don't know enough about the 777X at the moment. So is it all electric like the 78? But in any case, obviously, a 777X is something that we will look at once the 777 and 78 come out. So it is a logical continuation of this line.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not really thinking about it right now because it's pretty far removed.
Okay. Are there any plans to bring an A320 like 3D EFB to the 767?
An A320 like 3D EFB.
Like I guess a 3D modeled EFB, because now it's like a 2D pop-up. So would there be plans for a 3D integrated one?
Okay, are we talking about the 76
Yes.
oh,
Yes, we're talking about the 7.6, maybe something similar that the A320 has, since the A320 has a 3D model of the EFB.
all right. So I mean, it's not an issue to make the the iPod in quote unquote, which we use for an EFB in the 6757 series, to make it into a 3D model. That's easy. We actually have the model just kind of turned around. So we could definitely stick it on the window if that's something you want. That's pretty easy. But that would be still the 767 EFB. It wouldn't be an A320 EFB. The A320 EFB uses completely different technology, and that's not something we can bring to the Boeings. Moreover, the 777 and the 87 have integrated EFBs, which look like real Boeing EFBs, and they're actually inside the panel. But making a 3D model, definitely, if that's something people want, that's very easy. I mean, we already draw it. We just stick it to the window.
Yes. Okay, you said before that the 767-400 is a continuation of the line of the current gen 767 models. Will there be a new version sometime in the future that captures the features of the new models, the 777V2 and the 787?
Well, I mean, we do plan, hopefully, if we are all alive and healthy, and the world doesn't end, we do plan to continue with this. We like what we are doing. So, and I mean, I'm personally in love with Boeings. So is Dennis. So there are obviously just so many different Boeings we can make. So if everything goes well, at some point, yes, there will be version 3 of the 5.7 and version 2 of the 6.7, and they obviously will be built on top of the new technologies we are developing now and we will develop later. But I couldn't say, oh, when are we going to start working on that, because it's too much. I mean,
Yes. Okay. Possibly for like a V3, a V2.
oh yeah, sure. I mean, if everything goes well, there definitely will come a time when the current 767 will be basically old, just like the 777 version 1 now, and we'll want to make a new one. And when we make a new one, we obviously make it on the basis of the newest technology we have, integrated the newest things we have.
Yes. Okay.
So I see a lot of questions about the performance of the 777.
Sure. Go ahead.
So I mean, I'm just reading this, with one eye. So what I can say now is the following: at the moment, with all the things that the 777 already has on my computer and on most computers of our guys, the frame rate is 10 to 25% better than the 766 and the 75. With the X-Plane 11, as it is now. In terms of 3D, I think that we are done. So we are not going to add things like cabin versions and all that wonderful, useless stuff that we have done. Where you can choose your cabin. It does not affect performance at all. So it affects obviously the size of the package, but not performance. And the performance currently is better than the 757 and 766, and we intend to keep it that way.
That sounds pretty good. Sounds awesome. Okay.
Well, I mean, we have learned something in the last 5 years.
I mean, of course. All right, next question. Any plans to do a wings, flaps, slats overhaul on the 75 and 767 upon the X-Plane 12 release update?
No. So upon release update, so the okay, so with X-Plane 12, the story is the following. So if X-Plane 12 suddenly comes out into beta today, the current models that you already have will load and work in X-Plane 12. Then there will come an update, probably pretty quickly, because we already have some of the stuff, where you will get a separate ACF for X-Plane 12, which will have a different aerodynamic model, which has been refined, remade for X-Plane 12, because there are a lot of changes Austin has introduced, and some other things which we can do on on X-Plane 12 release. That's going to be compatibility updates. They're going to be free. And then we'll see what happens with X-Plane 12. So if X-Plane 12 brings new features, for example, I don't know, if suddenly in X-Plane 12 we get 3 lead textures instead of 1, so we'll obviously utilize it, and we'll update the 7.6 and the 7.5 with those new things. Like rain, for example, they have a new rain. So at the moment, the rain is kind of working. So obviously we will bring the new rain and remove the old rain, and that will be an update. So don't expect all of it on the first day of release, because the beta run is a beta run, and they are going to change the X-Plane, and we're going to have to change the models. So I assume the question is not about the 400 upgrade avionics, because that exists only in the 767, but about the alternate other type of screens which are now being installed in FedEx 767s, which they're converting to cargo. I'm assuming that's the question. So just for everybody to understand, there is a program now when they take the 767 and they install basically parts of the avionics of the 787. So those are large format screens. At the moment, no, a version like that is not something we're working on. But when we get to 767 version 3, version 2, probably yes. The 757, well, it doesn't exist in real life. So there is no upgrade of a 757 in real life which has either the 787 avionics suite nor the 777 avionics suite. And even if you wanted to make a monstrosity like that, I don't think it would fit, because it's smaller somehow. And so no, the 757, we are not in the business of making non-existent things. So I don't think so. Unless you want to write to Boeing.
I think, well, I think they maybe wrote the question incorrectly. Maybe it's not directly from the 787, but there is a large format display system available to, I think, the 7.6. So, but it's very rare. It's very rare.
Well, yes, the 7.6. This is what I was talking about.
Oh,
I think FedEx is doing that. They are installing large format displays, the same displays that go into 787, in the 7.6, and that's something we might do in the future, whether within the current line or in version 2. I can't say, but the 757 will not get such displays.
Okay. Has work started on the A350 V2, and what variants will it include on release?
The A350 V2, Oh, yes. Work has preliminary started. It is not very active. Um, and I cannot say which variants it will include in release. We have not decided that yet.
All right. Next.
Our focus at the moment is on the 777 and 87.
Yes. Okay. Because we had some audio issues in the beginning, I'm gonna ask this question again since it just popped up as the next question, which is the 777 release date. What can you say about that again? So
I can say that it is unlikely still this year, but it also is very unrealistic to think about 24. I don't want to be more specific. We are really, really working on it.
Okay. Is there the next question after that is there something you're aiming for, like a specific date you're aiming for or a specific time frame? Is there a goal?
Yes, there are goals set within the company for which we have decided that at that point we are going to hit somebody over the head, and then there is a next line where we're going to start cutting off fingers. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to disclose that.
Okay.
It will really depend on X-Plane 12, how much time we have to spend on that, because we have no idea. We have no idea how the beta will go. Alpha was and still is extremely long with a lot of changes. So that will depend on X-Plane 12. And again, you have to understand that we are building from ground up a huge system. So you see, you all want CPDLC on release probably, right? And then you want integration with SimBrief on release, hopefully, yes. And then we have this MCC, which should include everything, right? It should include like all the procedures, and we have a lot of things that have been conceptually done. I could give examples, but then so that they're working in theory, but they're not. But they're not, really connected to every system. Once we get the minimal functionality working, once it's a plane which flies and can be identified as a 777 from its inner workings, we will release it, and then we'll continue working on it while you use it. So we won't hold it for 3 years until we get everything done, but it still has to be an aircraft, a 777, and it has to be so wonderful that you will say, oh, it's the greatest thing since the 777 version 1. If there are people who were around 10 years ago when that was released.
Fun fact, that was actually, I think, the second airplane I ever bought ever for a flight simulator.
Well, how old are you?
I am 23. And
So
I
you were
started,
15?
yeah, I started about 11 years ago with flight sim.
That's the thing. It's been a long time, but if you remember, it was a big thing.
Oh, yes.
So we're aiming for something like that. And today there are a lot of planes and a lot of guys who make great aircraft. So we are really aiming for something special.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it to death. I used it so much. It was back then. It was a great aircraft. So obviously now it's old. So, but
Yeah, I can't bear looking instead of looking. Yeah.
oh, all right. Next question is a KC-46 with a 767-200 would be cool. It uses a similar boom to the KC-10 in an X-plane and is a cargo setup that has extra fuel bladders for refueling ops, kind of like how there's a C-32 for the 757-200. I guess the question is, are there any plans for adding a KC-46?
Well, things like this, obviously, like for free, right? We could do this. This definitely. In a thing like this, where the avionics stays almost the same, like one other panel or something. This is mostly 3D work. So again, we have 4 guys. Once the appropriate person has time or doesn't have any pressing projects. When we are building a plane, we all have to end up with 100% development, right? The 3D has to be done 100%, and avionics and the FMC and the sounds and everything else has to be complete by a date when we release it. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody is working on it every day through the whole period, because somebody can be faster than the other. And at that point, a 3D guy has time. We just choose what he will do. So something like that is quite possible, yes. And at the moment, they're all busy making chairs for the 787. Have you seen those chairs? They're awesome.
They do look great. They do look great. Are there any plans for non-airliners, like maybe a Bombardier Global, as an example?
No.
Okay. Next question. That was pretty fast. Any plans to add a HUD on the 777V2, so a heads-up display?
Yes, probably not on release.
Okay, but there are plans.
I mean, X-Plane 12 has new technology for specifically designed for HUDs. So we'll see how that works. And at the moment, we still plan a release for both X-Plane 11 and 12. I mean, hopefully X-Plane 12 will be around in 2 weeks. The beta run will be quick, and by I don't know what October it's going to be final and working smoothly. But still, a lot of people are going to be using X-Plane 11 for a long while.
Yes.
And also, as I said before, we are also aiming for some training sims, because this MCC stuff, it's very good for actual training. And those people use X-Plane like the previous version, so in this case X-Plane 11, for years and years. So not on release, but yeah, HUD should be there at some point.
Okay. Will there be a working printer for METAR or TAF, etc.?
Okay, so the printer at the moment works. So it prints, but it doesn't print anything like that. So it prints a piece of paper. And you can actually run out of paper, and you can change the paper, and it's much fun. You can sit around playing with it. Yes, there is somewhere in our Redmine a task to make the printer print on that piece of paper something significant. So yeah, once somebody's hands get to it, that will work.
Very cool. Any plans to add an FBO like Hot Start 650 with the 777V2 or 787?
Well, okay, so specifically no, because that would be weird. I mean, I've seen in my life once in an FBO in Atlantic City, where me and Philip landed, a private 777 in an FBO. That we asked around, and they said some guys bought it from Malaysia and they're flying it around. Good for them. But obviously, a 777, unlike the Bombardier or something else, is not a business jet. It's not a private plane. Doesn't use FBOs. Right? It's an airliner operation plane. So the idea, I saw a video of how that FBO works, and that's very nice. It's very realistic. I fly through FBOs in the States. That's how it works. That's you go through all the steps. But those steps are non-existent for a 777. So a 777 pilot does different things. Well, I mean, in a big airline, the 777 pilot does only one thing. He comes to the plane, pushes button, the plane flies. So we have integrated more things into the pilot role than the actual pilot would do. So you can, I mean, from the old models, you could call for all kind of equipment and stuff like that, which is not something pilots usually do. Pilots usually just tell the cabin crew we are ready for departure, ready for for loading, and then somebody takes care of all of that. So you can do those things. We added a quite extensive maintenance thing here, where you can both through the AFB, which is unrealistic way, and through the maintenance pages, which is the realistic way, you can determine that you have maintenance issues, and then you can call and deal with them and change blades in the engines and change oil and things like that. We will, once the integration with SimBrief is done, we will get dispatch things. You can already do all the pre-flight preparation and talking to the ground and talking to the cabin crew, but yeah, so you can also do something that only pilots with 777 and I think 747 do. You can send fuel for analysis. I think I talked about this in the last Q&A session. This is something I learned a while back, that on northern flights where the plane goes through the North Pole or northern regions, they will send a fuel sample to be analyzed to determine the exact freezing point of this specific fuel. And then the pilot gets this information via CPDLC, inputs it into the FMC, and then the FMC will monitor and give you a warning if the fuel temperature reaches within 3 degrees of the actual freezing point of this specific fuel. Mm-hmm. So things like that we have added. So it's not really FBO stuff, but it's things around planning and performing the flight which don't have to do with specifically piloting the aircraft.
Yes, okay. So it's kind of like a ACAR system talking to your company, and your company talks to you. Like that kind of environment.
Yeah, we've very much expanded on the role that you play in the plane. You can do this automatically and not think about it, but you can also perform all those roles, and you can handle all of it. I mean, I made this pushback truck, which you can ride around the airport, and you can push the plane by yourself. So if you want, you can do all those things. So this is kind of similar to the
Okay. Okay. Any time frame for the 787-9 and 10 after initial release of the -8? And will it be like an extended pack like the 757?
Well, you have already asked about this. So the X's are interesting, but we don't have specific plans for them at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Since we have to pay extra for the A320 and X-Plane 12, are we at least going to get charklets and IAEs? Highly requested feature, I bet. Or it is, for sure.
It is highly requested feature. Well, we haven't actually announced the policy for A320 in X-Plane 12. We're still kind of discussing it. So you will definitely, no matter what the policy is, you will definitely get new stuff that wasn't there before, both in terms of 3D and system performance. But we will make an announcement once we finish deliberating on that. Yeah, and I mean, if you even if you have to pay for it, it's going to be very, very low price. So something symbolic.
Okay. So for the Boeing 777-V2, will it have a fully working EFB?
Fully working EFB?
Yes.
Again, a good question. What do they mean, fully working EFB? But yes, there's going to be an EFB which will have 10 times more features than the old EFB.
Will it be an EFB based off of the Boeing's EFB that is pre-installed for the 777? Okay.
Yes.
So there's going to be performance calculations and documents you could check, maintenance status, things like that.
Yes.
Okay.
The performance calculator is in works right now. Mm-hmm. Documents already work. Charts, hopefully, like all the weight and balance. So I mean, all the 5767 on their small EFBs, they have all those choices of seats. So we have expanded on that very much. You can do a lot of stuff. Also made modes for people who don't want to meddle with it. So we had a lot of complaints that people don't want to sit around and put passengers in seats. They just want to enter zero fuel weight. So you can do that. Hopefully, we will get integration with online platforms where you can just download, upload, or uplink those things into the plane, and then that will work. So that all works through EFB. All the maintenance works through EFB. All this stuff in the EFB involving crew is already how do you say this? What was the word? Well, I invented the word which I use all the time, but that's wrong. Doesn't exist. I say vocalized, so you can hear the conversation the crew is having. All of that is already there. Yeah, so a lot of things from the real EFB which we can do, we are working on for this one.
Okay. Will you add autosave? Is especially needed on long-haul aircraft from the 75 through 787. Nothing worse than flying 7 to 16 hours just to crash on final and have no save.
All right, so autosave, I'm not sure, because autosave implies automatic saving. So saving, yes, already works. You can save the aircraft, the state of the aircraft, and then you can load it. At the moment, you can't load the position, but that's just something we have to do. So the systems, each system knows how to save itself. Autosave implies that it will somehow save it by itself, and the problem there, the process of saving takes time. As soon as it takes time, if you do an autosave, you get freezes. So if we can manage without the freezes, then yes. If not, you will have to save it by yourself. Because a freeze when you have decided to do it is one thing, a freeze when you don't expect it is something else. So, put it on pause, save it, go have lunch, continue. But yeah, but it might have autosave if we manage to work around the freeze somehow.
So you mentioned it doesn't save position?
At the moment, it's just something we haven't gotten to. It's not a problem to save position. I mean, the SIEM knows where the plane is. We can stick the plane there.
Okay. So it's planned though.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. There's going to be a full save where all the significant things that you need for the flight are going to be saved.
Okay.
So that means that you can stop your flight in mid-air and then continue your flight from mid-air with the same flight plan, position, failures, pressures, temperatures, fuel, and so forth.
All right. Are there any plans for MSFS?
No, not at the moment. No, not at the moment.
Okay. Any plans to simulate digital maintenance systems on the 777V2?
Digital maintenance systems, what is meant by that?
Good question. Maybe, I mean, the way I understand it is probably what has already been showcased or leaked before. Maybe those maintenance pages that you can look at. But I really don't know either.
Right. So if we are talking about CDU controlled maintenance pages in the EFIS, yes. If we are talking about the maintenance display, which is on the back right side of the cockpit, no, because all of those features are integrated into EFB. But I mean, I need to know what the question actually meant.
Maybe this person can follow up the question later on.
Sure.
Why isn't there any smoke effect at touchdown at any of FlightFactor's planes? It's missed by a lot of us. Makes simulation real.
I don't know. Let me ask Well, I will just write it to the guy who's now responsible for the effects, one of the 3D guys, and I mean it's easy. It should be there. It was there at some point. To tell you the
Yeah.
truth, don't look at landings from the outside.
I didn't notice that either, to be honest. But I mean, I guess many people are noticing it, so it would be a good to look at it again.
Sure. I'm actually writing him right now.
Perfect. How soon after X-Plane 12 beta comes out will you guys release your updated products, specifically the 7.6 and 7.57?
As soon as we can, they're the first ones in the can. I mean, we already have uh, well, okay, we have the minimum 3D changes needed. Rain kind of works. Um, some things on the screen still look weird, but it might be still Austin stuff. Uh, the biggest thing is the new aerodynamic model. For the 5.7, we already have it, and I'm actually going to spend next week integrating it and testing it. That means flying a gazillion flights, on autopilot with, like climbs and descents and cruise and stuff like that, just to check stuff. And the 7.6 will follow. So in terms of that, pretty quickly, unless they break everything in beta, but they shouldn't because the alpha was so long and so many changes were there.
All right, so the person talking about the digital maintenance system was actually, in fact, talking about the display at the back of the cockpit. So he does not have a follow-up question since you answered
Right.
that.
So actually, if that person has a document in mind where the things that he wants done are documented, he is free to send it to us because that display is configurable, and we have some people who help us, and each airline has its own and so forth. So, and the big simulators don't have it. So if he has something specific in mind, we are happy, and now is like the best time to send stuff to us, and then we'll look at it, and if it's interesting, we'll just prioritize it and we'll do something. Again, maybe we'll still integrate into the UV because it's really uncomfortable for one person to be on all those places at once.
Mm.
But sure.
Does the team have saying power towards laminar? Let's say the not enough LIT, so the lit textures problem, or someone run out of panel space. How much leverage does a team's request have over laminar's development decision?
I don't know how to measure it. So Laminar has a pretty good relationship with most designers. I mean, Austin's email is published, and if you write him, he will actually answer you. So he might read the first line only and answer with 3 words, but he will answer you. Um, our experience has been very good. Some things, of course, they say, yeah, that would be nice. We don't have time. Uh, a lot of things which we have asked for specifically, we have gotten over the years. Some pretty quickly, some took years to do. Um, but I'm not sure it's leverage. I'm not sure it depends on, oh, we are FlightFactor, we have more customers than somebody else. I don't think so. I think with Austin, at least, it's maybe if he likes you or something, or he remembers who you are. uh, but I mean, I've had the situation where I went to Austin, like to have lunch with him, and told him, look, there is a problem here. Could you fix it? He said, oh, that should be easy. Come on, let's drive to my house and we'll program it right now. And it took an hour to fix.
Awesome.
So I don't think it's leverage, but they are very positive. They work with designers very closely. But obviously, all of us, like all of you, the customers, the same with us, all of us, the designers, want everything very quickly, and working perfectly. And also, don't spend any time on that because X.Plane 12 is important. So,
Okay. Hopefully that answers the question. I think it does. So why did you decide to go with default sounds on a 767-400?
Why, could you repeat that? Why have we decided?
To go with default sounds on the 767-400.
What does it mean, default sounds?
I guess the similar sounds to what the base package has.
Well, the 400 upgrade is basically something we had in the back of our heads for a while, but always said, well, it's not really important because we have more important stuff to do. But then we got into this run with X-Plan 12, where all of us have been waiting for a year and feeling, oh, it has to be around the corner, it has to be around the corner. So a lot of customers are not buying stuff and waiting. A lot of designers are actually waiting. Oh, I'm not designing anything because I'm waiting for X-Plan 12. So no, the entire world kind of slowed down. So we evaluated and we said, okay, whom can we spare and how much time can we spare to make something new for the customers? Okay, so we had a discussion where we chose one of 3 mini projects that we can do that won't take us away from the 777 and won't take a year. And we just chose the 400. Now the 400 basically, in terms of sounds, is almost the same plane. So, you know, if you remove the clicker, if you remember what that is, so in old panels used to have this clicker which would hit the panel from the back to make the needles on the round instruments, you know, to help them not get stuck. So except that sound, which was in the old planes, I mean, there is no basically difference between this 767 and the first 767 ever built. It has the same cockpit, it has the same fuselage, it has the same engines. Well, not the first one, but at least the ones we have made. So we could probably replace the sound of the fans, you know, because it's a different fan, the cooling fans of the avionics, but generally it's the same sounds. The sound pack for the 767 was made by BSS, which everybody loves. So we felt that this was something that is good enough in the plane. And of course, you have to understand that every change we make, every aspect of the plane we upgrade takes time. So if we go and say, okay, why didn't you upgrade you didn't upgrade all the textures, for example, you only worked on the new stuff, and then all the sounds, and then in the systems, and then the question is, why didn't you make a new 767? Why did you use why did we use the old line? And the answer is because we wanted to do something in a couple of months and not in 3 years like the 777 is taking.
All right. The yoke in a lot of FlightFactor planes seem unusually small, short. Are there any plans to fix this?
Yes, we have fixed that in the 400.
Right.
And the 777 version 2 has been measured inside and out, mostly inside, by real people. Just measured. We had access to the plane, we had access to the simulator. It's all measured, it's all very much correct.
Very nice. Are there plans to provide Linux versions, especially the A320?
Well, especially means, well, we already have Linux versions for everything else.
Yes.
Actually, we could, technically. We just need to spend time on that. But it is something that I need to make one of my colleagues work on.
Is there an approximate price tag that we can expect for the 777 V2?
No, I'm not thinking about that right now.
Okay.
I could be facetious and ask, is there an approximate price tag we can expect on fuel? Just like that, I have no idea. Not something we are thinking about at the moment.
Okay. Will it still use the quote-unquote terrible performing SASL?
Yes, it will. It will use the terrible performing SASL. So SASL is the you have to, the SASL is not only, it's not only something we use. So we do develop it. SASL is being developed by people in FlightFactor, but it is I'm sure most people know that it's being used by over half the the designers for export. So some don't use anything because they make small plugins that don't require plugins. Some write their own plugins in C++. But as a group, the biggest one uses SASL. It's much faster and much more efficient to write a program in Lua using SASL than writing in C++. And obviously we need plugins. In terms of performance, we are working on it very diligently. So at the moment, the 777 has, I think, 3 times the amount of code that the 57 has, for example, and definitely has more textures and more 3D objects and more complicated stuff, but the performance is still better. And we also have general ideas on how to improve SASL dramatically by using, again, new types of technologies. We are working on that too. So yes, it will use SASL, and no, it's not terribly performing.
Okay. Birdie, that question has been answered already. The performance for the 777 and 7887 is going to currently at its current state is about what do you say, 20% better than the 75 and 737.
Well, it depends on the machine, because
yes, of
where
course,
your bottleneck is. But yeah, it's definitely better
at the current
I
state.
would say 10 to 20%, 25%.
Okay. Will the CG shifts that happen during loading of the passengers and cargo when IRSs are aligning affect accuracy of the positions they output when they operate a nav on 777V2? Now that is a very in detail question.
Okay, I need to see the question. My auditory,
sure.
Or just read it again.
It's the very last question on the stream questions, or should I just read it?
Yeah. You know how I like Discord, right?
You like what?
How I like Discord.
Oh, okay. I'll read it. Will the CG shifts that happen during loading of the passenger and cargoes when irises are aligning affect the accuracy of the position they output when they operate in nav mode?
Now they will. Dennis, who is responsible for errors in LMS. Hopefully he heard this. This is a good point. I would, if the person asking would be in conversation with me, I would ask him whether he knows how much it affects it. Because I don't think it does. I mean, the 787 uses GPS for realignment, so you can actually realign it in air. I don't. So the 777 doesn't have this ability, but shifts in CG. Well, I mean, it's interesting, and if they are in any way visible to the pilot, I will discuss this with Dennis. So we can be sure to implement such a thing.
The person that asked this also asked about the digital maintenance system, so the back display. So.
Right. So if that person wants to contact me personally via email or anything else, I'll be happy to talk to him. That's a good question. Does it affect? Well, I mean, anything affects it, but the question is, does this shift in CG affect the IRS alignment, the accuracy of the IRS alignment more or less than the sunspots at that day? So I'm not modeling the sunspots for sure, but this might maybe.
All right, so now we can go to stream questions since we don't have any questions on Discord anymore. So does anybody have any questions that they would like to answer in the next, I would say, 10 minutes, and then we're going to end the stream. So I'm going to read through. Maybe you see something as well, Roman, that you'd like to answer.
Sure. So we're ending in 10 minutes, huh?
I would say so.
All right.
I mean, we answered every question so far, so.
Yes, well, so you can read more stuff from the. So no, we are not thinking about MSFS, and we don't want to discuss it now because we are focused on something else. When will the A320 become a civil aircraft and not a fighter?
Guess they're saying the performance is too good.
No, it's not. So we, at the moment, the team working on the A320, the actual programmers and 3D guys, two of them are current A320 pilots who during the day fly the A320 and then in the evening they work for us.
CPDLC integration on any of the aircraft, will they integrate with VATSIM?
Yes. Well, okay. So the plan is, at the moment the 777 has the full comm system, which is basically the CPDLC system in the MFD. So we have all the pages and all the messages and everything else. So the backbone is there in the plane. We have contacted 4 different, I want to say CPDLC providers, but 4 different services which you guys use. That includes VATSIM. And we have discussed with them what we need to integrate whatever they have. The problem is that they have different levels of actual CPDLC. So some have almost a real CPDLC, which really sends messages with codes like they're supposed to be, and some have a very rudimentary system where it's just text based. The idea is to have you choose which one you are using, and then you will be still using the same interface in the plane, but some pages might not work on some functionality might be missing if you are using a network which doesn't support this. Whether this will be done on release, I'm not sure. So when I say this task is assigned to somebody who has 2 different tasks. The 2 other tasks that he has have to be done by the release. Otherwise, the plane will not be a 777 Boeing model. It will be something else. This task, so if this is something not done and everything else is done, then it will remain for updates. But generally, yes, there is a plan to integrate 4 systems, including VATSIM.
Okay. Will the 777V2 and 787 have random failures?
Sure. So at the moment, we have 1,200 failures in the plane. They can be random. They can be scenario based, which means you program something, a sequence of events like climbing through altitude, flight level 180, something fails, and so forth. They can be turned on and off using training modes, like they do on the big simulators. So you just say, okay, I want unreliable airspeed, or I want an engine failure of this type, or of that type. So you can train the usual things, and you can actually go through the entire type rating course using this plane. So we have all this stuff, and that's not a lot. To do type rating, you don't do a lot of failures, but there are 10 major ones. So you can program those as training sessions. And we also have something new now. We have failures which can occur between flights. So you can come to the plane and there's a blade missing already in the beginning of the flight. Because a blade missing in the beginning of flight is an inconvenience if you do your walk around, which is, by the way, something we programmed. You can do the 64-step walk around with 777. You can look at all of those hatches and the things that you have to check, and they can actually fail. And there are things that might be left open, and then things that you might need to change, including like tires and brakes, hydraulic leaks, pitot tubes, all of that stuff. And there are a lot of tubes in this plane. I mean, okay, there are only 3 pitot tubes, but there are 9 static sensors. So yeah, all of them can fail. So you need to do a walk around, and you can have those failures. So you left the plane fine, and then you come back next morning, and a bird has built a nest inside one of the pitot tubes. So you have to see it and then clean it and call the maintenance or something like that. So yes, there are a lot of ways to play around with failures.
Okay.
Yes, there are plans to create a paint kit for the 777 version 2, definitely.
The question from Kevin Thomas has been asked a couple of times. Will we get a 300 variant and will it simulate the strobe lights like the real life model?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm sure you know what that means.
I know what it means, but yeah. Once we get the 777-300ER, yes. I'm not sure which one in sequence of upgrades it will be, but somewhere along the line it will happen.
And another question was the freighter variant. Will that come with the base package with the 777? No.
No. The base package, as it looks now, will have a 200ER G engine.
Okay. All right. I can't find any other questions. Are there any questions you still think, or anything else you'd like to add maybe that hasn't been asked?
I'm not sure. I think mostly we are all waiting for X-Plane 12. So
Yeah.
you know.
It'll be coming out this month, right?
Oh well, yes. Austin's I think said that it has to be this month. I'm certainly hoping it will. Yeah, it's been a long time. We've been waiting, and
What's one thing you're most excited about for X-Plane 12?
it coming out. Oh, I don't know. They've done a good job. I mean, it's very nice. The graphic has certainly improved. They have a lot of new systems which we don't really care about, but it's really nice. I mean, we don't use any of the built-in systems. We have everything. So I mean, I'm happy that the fuel usage has been finally fixed after I don't know what 15 years. The jet planes now use fuel like jet planes do that, and it took only 1 hour, less. Yeah, I mean, it's very nice. It has the rain, it has the sky, and it has it's. I mean, I'm not as excited as Austin about the aerodynamic model because I, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm not sure, but I look at when we build a model, we try to emulate the 777 or the 76. So what we care about is how close it is to the data which we have from the real plane. So this excitement Austin has for his flight model, I mean, it's great. You can see all those things where he shows you a flight of a fighter jet and how exactly a similar jet flies the next one. That's actually great. But unfortunately, because we are not trying to build a plane, but we are trying to emulate an existing plane which has its own issues, we kind of have to come up with the same issues. So it's a lot of work for us to rebuild the flight model. But that's definitely something very good for other designers, people who make small planes. It's awesome what he's doing. So I can be excited for them, but I still have to remake all the flight models for X-Plane 12 because nothing will work correctly again. Yeah. Mostly graphically it's great. And the performance is better than I expected. Huh. It's still not perfect, but it's better than I expected.
Okay. I would say last question. That would be, what is one feature in the 777 V2 or 787 that you are most excited for people to try?
Well, features that I'm most excited about might not be the same features that others are excited about. we had a poll, and then people marked the co-pilot as like the last thing they want, and I'm very much excited about.
I am very excited about that too because I use something. I mean, I use all simulators, and FSX, has this thing called FS2 Crew, which is basically simulating real SOPs with voice commands. So you actually talk to basically an AI, and he does his flows, you do your flows, just like in real life. And yeah, it's really awesome. You do checklists. I always use it. I always use it if I
I have
can.
no idea how FS the crew works because I'm proud to say that since 1995 I have not opened anything to um, no, I make it a point not to look closely at
Yeah,
other
of course.
people's work, specifically because I don't want to be accused in emulating them. And the problem is that when you look at something and you like it, you want to do the same thing. I mean, it's not, you don't necessarily want to steal from them, but you see, oh, that's great. I wish I could do it. And then, okay, what? I'm not going to do it because of that. So I make it a point not to, examine other people who make planes for X-Plane, and the same for other sims. So I got very excited about this MCC stuff. And MCC is multi-crew cooperation.
Yep.
Which is, well, the commands and checklists and flows are part of it. When you fly an airliner, you fly it with a crew. You don't fly it by yourself. Now, obviously, I mean, you could fly a 777. If everything works fine, you could fly it by yourself. I mean, some things are ergonomically weird, but you can reach the gear handle. I mean, people fly from you can have the co-pilot as pilot flying, and then you as a captain have to reach for the handle. So besides the ergonomic stuff, you could fly the 777 by yourself. But once you want to do certain things, so abnormals, for example, engine failures, or a benign thing, a glide slope. I want a glide slope approach on an ILS using my hands. Now, in real life, if I'm the captain, I'm flying the 777 by hands without autopilot, with flight director, with everything, but the autopilot is turned off. I am not touching anything in the plane except the yoke. All right. So if the auto throttle is off, which is 777 is allowed, you can have the auto throttle on, and autopilot off. So if the auto throttle is also off, so I can also touch the thrust levers. But everything else on the airplane is the responsibility to co-pilot, which means the entire MCP, flaps, everything. He has to do everything else. Because you have to focus on getting that airplane, that box on the cross, if you're using this type of autopilot, or flight director. So you can't do that, right? You can't do it in the same because you need a co-pilot. You need somebody who will know what to do. So part of this MCC that I'm building, and this is the part that I'm very much excited about, is similar to what you were describing FS the crew does. But you have to understand that at the moment we have over 5,000 phrases which the crew can tell you. So that obviously includes all the checklists and procedures and things. So we have 5,000 things that the co-pilot, the ground guy, and the cabin crew can tell the captain. Now we'll have different modes where you fly the airplane and you can talk via voice to your first officer, and also we'll have a mode where you don't have to talk, where you just do things, and the captain's voice, the one that has been discussed a lot, and we are changing it because people didn't like the one I chose. So that voice is actually saying your part automatically, right? And the first officer uses the flaps and so forth by the procedure without you actually telling him. So you can either kind of participate in passing by flying and listening, or you can be full participant by talking. And there are a lot of things which we are going to start showing this stuff because we haven't been yet. Once it's more mature, but it's awesome. I mean, I'm sitting and talking to him for an hour every evening. He can do stuff. Sometimes he misses it, does something else. Making him understand is more difficult than making him talk. And people have been asking online, why are we using AI voices rather than recorded voices? We have thousands of phrases. This would be absolutely impractical to record them. I'm not even thinking about how much that would cost or take time, but it would be impractical because every day something is added. I'm saying, okay, here he should say this, or here the captain should answer like that. So it's an interesting system. But it was rated as the least interesting by users online. So so maybe it's just interesting for me.
I think it's because they never experienced it.
Yes, I also hope so, that people don't really appreciate what we are doing. It's just, okay, a copilot. Okay, what the hell is a copilot? But yeah, if you can really tell him, ask him to do the things that in real life you do, and then when you sit in the cockpit of an airliner, if you sit on the jump seat and you listen to what's going on, it's like music. They talk to each other. They say those phrases extremely fast, and
it's a symphony.
Clockwork, yeah.
Oh.
So that's what I'm aiming for. So you could either listen to this by just do, or you could participate and say those things. And yeah, that I call all of this multi-crew cooperation. And I'm building this from the point of view of a student. Because when I was going through training, we didn't have anything. It was a piece of paper where you read the procedure. And then, to play around with this stuff, you go into the big simulator and you sit there. The sim is off, and then you just or you point at pictures of panels, and the instructor says, "Okay, take off," and you say, you take those plastic levers and you say, "Okay, I push the levers. Power set. Okay, set power set, 40%. Take off. All of this." But this is much more interesting when it's really happening, and you can listen to it.
Very cool. I'm excited for it. Trust me on that.
That's good.
All right. Well, I think that concludes the stream. We've answered pretty much everything we can that has been asked.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys got all your questions answered the way you wanted them to. If not, just ask us on Discord, and I'm sure we'll answer them as well there as a continuation. Until then, though, have yourselves, guys, a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll see you all or hear you all on Discord very soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.